Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to Hope Unitarian Church. It's great to see you all this morning. I'm the Reverend Justin McCreary, and I'm so excited that you're here with us today. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, one of the things I always say is that we are covenantal, not creedal. And that means something very simple, even though it sounds complicated. It means we focus on how we are together, not necessarily what we believe together. In Hope, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. Being rooted in love, we believe that all human beings should be treated with dignity and respect. At Hope, we seek to transform ourselves in the world through community service and love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey and whatever your life circumstances, you are welcome here. At this time, I would invite you to rise and embody your spirit as you feel called, and we will sing our hymn of gathering. Chalice lighting for this morning is by Reverend Michelle Collins. This flame burns for what might be, for hands that help us up and point to the rising sun, for hearts that whisper, what if? For dreams that blanket our imagination with what might be. May our chalice shine light for our work of becoming. And you may be seated. Our invocation this morning is by Linda Paston. You tell me to live each day as if it were my last. This is in the kitchen where before coffee I complain of the day ahead, the obstacle race of minutes and hours, grocery stores and doctors. But why the last, I ask? Why not live each day as if it were the first? All raw astonishment, Eve rubbing her eyes awake on that first morning, the sun coming up like an ingenue in the east. You grind the coffee with a small roar of a mind trying to clear itself. I set the table, glance out the window, where dew has baptized every living service. Let's say our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. And again, I would invite you at this time to rise, embody your spirit as you feel so called, and we will sing hymn number 101, Abide with Me.
Good morning, I'm Clara Dawson, and here with this week's announcements. This coming Wednesday, April 22nd, we will be celebrating Earth Day with planting of annuals at 10 o'clock here at the church. Any questions? I believe we need to talk to Gail Hark about that. We have a new charity box outside for Tulsa Metropolitan Ministries. This is to help some of our immigrant families. They are requesting children's diapers, sizes 3, 6, and 7, baby formula, and menstrual products for women. On Thursday, April 23rd, we will be having our happy hour at Elote in downtown Tulsa, starting at 5:30 to 7. This week, we'll be hosting some state testing here in our fellowship hall from the 22nd to the 24th. So if you need to come to the church on those days, please either call or email so we do not disturb the students. And today they will be having a jamboree at All Souls. If you're planning to attend and have not already made a reservation, there will be a $15 charge at the door.
Sorry about that.
No worries, you told me, I just forgot.
So last week was the the final week and the conclusion of our pledge drive for the 26-27 fiscal year, and our goal was $180,000, and we're at, with 100% confirmed pledges in at 91%. There's a few outstanding folks that we're going to reach out to, and we fully expect them to finalize the process, and that'll put us at 96% or 173,000. So that's a great number. We had 35 members increase their pledge for the year, and so great work from everybody, and I just want to say thank you from the finance committee, from the board, and just from the congregation. So now the next hard work begins, as we're going to go through the budget and see how we fund the next year. And we'll have that stuff worked on starting this week. Thank you all very much.
Before I start, are there any outstanding joys and concerns I need to grab? As we gather, let us pause to honor our commitment to community by sharing joys and concerns. This special moment invites us to reflect on our hopes and dreams, acknowledge our troubles and sorrows, and embrace all the feelings that connect us. Before the service, you were invited to write your joy or concern on a slip of paper. Now, as each slip is read aloud, a candle will be lit to symbolize the light we bring to one another, whether in celebration or in support. Let us listen with open hearts, holding space for each other's stories and experiences. James is going to help me out this morning. So I have 3, and then we'll add the normal 4th. This was from Jackie. My daughter Samantha is due to have a baby, and she developed health concerns. So we want to light a candle on that and keep that in our hearts. Did she?
She had it, no problem.
She wrote this a few weeks ago, so that's a joy. Joy for family and friends and husband providing support while I heal from injury, Vanessa. And this person wished to remain anonymous. My sibling recently came out as non-binary, so they would like some support. And then we'll light one more candle for all the joys and concerns left unspoken.
Today's reading is If by Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting or being lied about, but don't deal in lies, of being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all winnings and risk it in one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again from your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after you are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will, which you say to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you will be a man, my son.
From the light of day's remain.
I love that song. Oh. I'd like to start with an image. Pardon me. I'd like to start with an image today. In 2009, and I'll start with that in a minute. In 2019, Matthew Weisner created a web comic that shows Mr. Rogers meeting Thor. Let's see how that turns out. You have Mr. Rogers coming up to find Thor on his roof, and he says, "I thought I heard a commotion up here. Is that you, Thor?" And Thor responds, "Just going around town protecting homes from any storms that might be involved, that I might be involved with, courtesy of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course." And Mr. Rogers looks over to Thor's hammer and says, "Say, that's an impressive hammer. Is it okay if I tried to hold it?" "You certainly can, Mr. Rogers of the Hood." "Is it heavy?" Mr. Rogers asks. "Well, there are many who find it immovable." Okay, so let's stop here for a minute. I need to make sure you're all aware of certain things. Does everybody know who Thor is?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. We're on the same panel. We got Thor. Does everyone know? Okay, so in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, no one but Thor can pick up Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. Now, here's the deal. This is what Odin said to put that blessing on the hammer. "Whosoever holds this hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." So in Marvel Comics, that means you have to be a special kind of powerful to pick up this hammer. If someone is evil, it's immovable, unless someone stands out and is upright and is fully good, they can't pick up the hammer. So when Mr. Rogers asks to hold Thor's hammer, the writer is making a specific point. From off the page, we hear something shocking as they move forward. "How interesting. It doesn't seem to be very heavy to me." "Oh, looky there. Mr. Rogers is holding Thor's hammer." "But wait, I thought you had to be worthy to hold Thor's hammer." So, Rogers says, "But you know, sometimes life is a lot like that. Some things that may be very easy for one person might be very difficult for another. Have you found that to be true?" Yes, I have," says Thor. "Do you know why that is?" Rogers asks. Rogers says, "I think it's because everyone is special and unique in different ways. Just because somebody has difficulty lifting your hammer doesn't mean they aren't talented in other ways." And then we have slide 5 where they say, Roger says, "In fact, I suspect those individuals can probably do things that you and I would never dream of." And Thor says, "That is true. You are very wise, Sir Rogers. I am humbled by your counsel." And Roger says, "And I am so glad you decided to visit today." Believe it or not, this one-off web comic by Matthew Weisner, and Twistwood is a guy named, they calls himself Twistwood, is the illustrator, is very important. This is a very important comic. It's one that everyone needs to know about. In fact, it is so important that Thor writer Danny Cates declared, after seeing the fan comic, he declared it official canon for Marvel Comics. Which means Mr. Rogers and the neighborhood of make-believe exist in the Marvel Universe. And he's aware of Marvel superheroes, seeming to know them very well, apparently. But even more than that, Fred Rogers can lift Thor's hammer. But what makes it so important is that this came out so many years after Fred Rogers' death. And it came into a world of young people who grew up without Mr. Rogers. This little cartoon made the news, and it does something very important. It connects different generations. It inspired people to go back and watch his old shows, which I believe is one of the most important television shows that's ever aired. And anyone who grew up watching Mr. Rogers that knows anything about Thor and Marvel canon will never question why Mr. Rogers is able to wield Thor's hammer. Mr. Rogers, though soft-spoken, became a force in the United States. And I think the reason he's so important is not just that he was creating children's programming. Lots of people did that, but he didn't shy away from difficult topics. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. A week later, Daniel the Tiger, in front of thousands and thousands of children, asks, "What's assassination?" When bigots were throwing acid in pools where black people were swimming, Rogers invited the neighborhood police officer, Officer Clemens, a black man, to put his feet in the same pool Rogers had his feet chilling in. He talked about the Iran hostage crisis. He talked about the Challenger explosion. And when it felt like everything was bad, he would remind us of something very special. Something his mother taught him. When he was scared, she always said, "Look for the helpers." Such a simple but powerful thing, because when we look for the helpers, we highlight the goodness of people. And we are reminded that even in the darkness, there is light. And there are people that will always come out to help. The helpers, they're not superheroes. And that's an important thing because they are regular people with only themselves to offer. So for the rest of this sermon, I would like to highlight some helpers. This guy named Kevin McKay was working at a Walgreens in a small California town and decided he wanted to do something more with his life. He wanted to do something that made a difference, so he left Walgreens and he moved to a different town. He started going to school so he could become a teacher. But that meant he had to relocate. In doing so, he got rid of his job and he took another job as a bus driver for the school system in Paradise, California. He hadn't been on the job very long when, on November 8th, 2018, a power line managed by Pacific Gas and Electric broke due to negligence from the company. A single metal hook that had worn thin over time snapped under the weight of the 142-pound line, and as the line fell, it came in contact with the tower and began to burn the tall grass. Though the air was very dry, the grass had grown uncharacteristically high that year, which created a lot of fuel. About 20 after 6 in the morning, PG&E truck saw the fire and radioed dispatch, who called the fire department, which sent two trucks. The two trucks were unable to pass Camp Creek Road, which would take them to the place they needed to go. After seeing how quickly and how broadly this fire was spreading, they made this call. "We have eyes on the vegetation fire. It's going to be very difficult access. Camp Creek Road is nearly inaccessible. It is on the west side of the river underneath the transmission lines. It's got to be about a 35-mile wind sustained, and we'll keep working on access. This has got potential for a major incident, requesting 15 additional engines, 4 additional dozers, 2 water tenders, 4 strike teams of hand crews. I'll get back to you on reporting the location." that fire would burn at the rate of 106 acres, or 80 football fields a minute. McKay, the bus driver, having just dropped his kids off for school, he was on his way home when the evacuation order came over the radio. So he returned quickly to the Ponderosa Primary School. There were 22 students there. So they loaded the bus along with two teachers, Mary Ludwig and Abby Davis. The school was consumed by fire within 20 minutes of the pickup. The 3 adults and 22 children had no idea what was about to happen. Because things were changing minute by minute, roads that had been open a few minutes earlier were now covered in flames. But there were other issues. A report filed in 2009 warned city leaders that the roads, even then, were unable to handle a full evacuation. The city leadership had ignored this report. This came to haunt them on November 8th, when almost 10 years later, fleeing traffic met road closures due to expanding flame, causing long wait lines out of Paradise. Because the roads could not handle this level of traffic, and traffic had to be rerouted over and over again, some residents would end up dying in their cars. McKay, Ludwig, and Davis spent a lot of time waiting on roads with fire on both sides. McKay would dodge fireballs. He would dodge traffic. He would off-road with the bus. And he even got hit by a car on one occasion. At one point, the air was so full of smoke and they were surrounded by such hot fire that the teachers were starting to lose hope. Mary Ludwig recounted that they began to pray that they would die of smoke inhalation before the fire got to them. Of course, they never let the children know they were beginning to lose hope. As the children started to fall asleep due to smoke inhalation, McKay took off his shirt and teachers started cutting it up so that they could wet the fabric with their one water bottle so the children could breathe through the fabric. This went on for 30 miles, and it took 6 hours to traverse. I suspect each minute they wondered if they would ever get out alive. This fire, that was later called the Camp Fire, began with negligence from PG&E and would burn for 17 days. 52,000 people were evacuated, 3 towns destroyed, 18,804 structures, 14,000 of which were homes, were destroyed, doing $16.65 billion in damage, burning 153,336 acres. There were 85 fatalities, and PG&E pled guilty to 84 counts of manslaughter. They ended up settling with the victims for $13.5 million or billion dollars, and immediately filed for bankruptcy. The Camp Fire became the deadliest and worst wildfire in 100 years. But because of one driver and 2 teachers, the number of fatalities did not rise to 109. As I reflect on this story, I'm reminded of what Fred Rogers' mother always said when he was a little boy and scared. Look for the helpers. 5,000 firefighters and hundreds of volunteers that went into rubble afterwards searching for people, even if it was just to bring closure to the families that lost their loved ones. But if you want to look for the helpers, you don't always have to look for a crisis. And you don't always have to look far. Look to the people who surround you, who feed the homeless on the 3rd Saturday, who take food to people going through their own crisis, who deliver food to the sick, who volunteer to help children read, who speak for those who can't speak for themselves, and who take seriously that we are called to bring good news to the poor. We are a small church, and we have spent a lot of time looking at how we can be a not as small church. But more important than focusing on our size, we must remember and ask the question, are we living our values? Are we a church of helpers? We are known as a church with a beautiful landscape, a connection to nature, a church with amazing preaching, especially next week. But the big question is, what would it be to be known in Tulsa as a church of helpers? We may never be a big church, a church with $1 million endowment, a church that keeps rodents on the outsides of the walls. But more important than all of that is the question, are we a church of helpers? And if the answer is yes, the only question left is who else can we help? It's not just about donating money, though that's a part of it, but it's not all of it. And we aren't just deciding to help because our church needs to grow. Small churches can make differences too. My point is that we help our community because it's the right thing to do, not because we want to gain members from them. Not because we want to build notoriety. And also, being a church of helpers is living into our UU values. And the important thing to remember is this. I'm not talking about the things we're already doing. What I'm asking is, who are we missing? How can our church, as it is now, be a church people look to when they need help? Be a church that becomes known as a church of helpers? How can we rise to the occasion of this current crisis and be the people that other folks look towards? Thank you for listening, and be blessed. Our generosity recipient for the month of April is Tulsa Nature Conservancy. This is one of the ways we as at Hope are a church of helpers. We give a generosity recipient each month. If you'd like to donate to that generosity recipient, please write a check and put Hope Unitarian Church and write generosity in the memo line. If it's cash donation, it will go directly to the generosity recipient unless you put it in one of the envelopes provided. Checks with no notation will be applied to your pledge or to the operating fund, and I invite you all to give to the equal of your ability. Let's give thanks for the offering. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We all sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. I invite you to rise again as we sing our final hymn, 298, Wake Now My Senses. Let's extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Look for the helpers. There's a lot going on in our lives and in the world today. I invite you to look for the helpers, to be the helpers, and know that every time we do, we change the world for the better just a little bit. Thank you.